Hey guys, before we dive into the show, I wanted to tell you about the perfect trailer queue blueprint, which is 100% free, and you can download it right now over at thetrailermusicschool.com/blueprint. Now, this blueprint will help you to completely understand the structure of trailer music, how to build tracks that will be more licensable and have more impact and capture the right people's attention. So whenever you start writing a cue, make sure you've got this blueprint to hand and you can use it to help speed up your process, feel more confident that you've crafted a well-structured trailer cue before you send it off to that publisher or editor or supervisor. Okay, let's get into the episode. One man with one microphone. Welcome to the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. I'm just walking down a hill right now, and I almost fell flat on my arse whilst doing that. That would have been hilarious. Mostly for you, not for me. Anyway, welcome to another episode, guys. Lovely to have you. So this week, I wanted to talk a little bit about something. And this is for me as much as it is for you. It's a reminder. It's the importance of using trailerised hits and impacts. So, why am I talking about this? Well, I find myself resisting the use of them. I find myself saying, no, I don't need those big pre-packaged drag and drop samples, I just write amazing music. And then I have to check myself because I'm turning into an arrogant, pompous idiot. So I say, okay. And I write my tracks and I think something's missing. It doesn't feel like trailer music yet. And there are many nuances within trailer music. But this is the cherry on the top. This is the icing on the cake. You plop your big hits and drums in, and voila, you've got the sparkle of a trailer cue. It's absolutely fascinating. And I find this when I'm feeding back on tracks to students too, of Protégé. I say, this is an amazing track, structure's perfect, it needs a little extra. Try throwing in some big trailer hits, especially in the final third. So let's backtrack a little bit first. Let's talk about why. Why bother? Like, why do we need them? Surely the editor's going to chuck them on anyway. So let's talk about trailer music again. So trailer music is about impact and character and build. Impact, character, and build. If you take one of those things away, it's not quite trailer music. Everything we do has to have some combination of those three things. So you don't necessarily have to use huge trailer hits to have impact, but they are a very, very quick and easy way to get there. And also this comes in with the idea that as trailer music composers, we will often get asked to trailerize things. And what does that even mean? And when you look on the face of it, it's adding those three things to a track. So especially if it's an existing one. If it's an existing cue, they want it trailerized, which firstly means they kind of want it to be put into the trailer structure of 3 acts, which pretty much sums up the word build, because essentially all you're doing in each of those 3 acts is building to the climax, which is the come to the cinema and see it. I mean, the track that they like already has the character they want. So that's a bit of a grey area for this idea of needing character. That's a focus for writing your own music, I think. But when we're dealing with trailerizing, adjusting the structure to have build and then adding impact, which I guarantee you is pretty much adding in trailer hits. Why? Why does it need impact? Why do we need these trailer hits? That's a very good questioner, listener. It's a very good question, listener. We need these trailer hits because of the visual world we are representing with our music. We are representing a larger-than-life narrative, and I'm not just talking big Hollywood blockbusters. I'm even talking about these period drama trailers, or small family adventures. The idea with all of these films is your main character or characters get whisked away from their normal life into something otherworldly or something new, to transition. Like in Frozen 2, they go into the woods, or Star Wars, Luke gets whisked away on the Millennium Falcon to save a princess. They get taken out of their normal area of comfort, which is Act 1, and put into somewhere new, somewhere massive. Because if it's not big in visual scale, it's big in character development. And this is where the musical language comes from. It comes from the films. It comes from the stories. So if you're being asked to trailerize, I don't know, Moonlight Sonata, you think in terms of build. Okay, how can I apply the 3 acts and build each act into the next? How can I give it character? Well, like I said, to an extent, existing track has the character already because it's got the reference point of it being known. But then how can I give it impact? And it's the idea of scale and weight. And those big sub-booms that we get in the beginning of Act 1 and Act 2, they give it impact. And that kind of transitioned into huge sort of broad frequencies hits. And I say broad frequencies because the big trailer hits are pretty much sub-hits, toms, kicks, snares, cymbals, all rolled into one. There we go, that's another tutorial. Done. Want to make your own hits? Chuck all that stuff at the same time, because it covers all the certain aspects that you want from a big hit. Punch, grit, stab, swipe, whatever those words are that you get on those cool frequency spectrum posters for drum production. That's what we're doing. We're adding impact. We're adding this sense of scale and weight. So sometimes when I send a demo across, I want to carry across the musical ideas first, rather than the trailerization of the thing. And that's the mistake I often make, which is the trailerization sells the cue over the finish line. It's the thing that's going to get your cue from, there's something not quite right, or it's not quite finished, to done. And you can get loads of these for free. I've got an exclusive pack of 60 of them on the Training Music School. And they're there to help and make our jobs easier to transition our ideas into the narrative of these huge films. We are supplying impact with these huge hits. So next time you're sat there and you've got your Act 1, 2 and 3 and you're thinking what's missing, check. Do you have the big impacts in place? And if you do, check that you are staggering the frequencies of them and the scale of them. What I mean by this is, in Act 1, you tend not to have the big, broad frequency hits, the ones that sound like an explosion in your face. Yeah, that sounds gross. Explosion very close. That still sounds gross. You know what I mean. you're breaking glass, anvils, subs, toms, taikos, all smashing together, you tend to save that for the final act. Essentially. One would argue you could recreate that through layers of different drums rather than using drag and drop samples. But the drag and drop samples are just very handy because they cover that. And you can listen to this. You go into those sample libraries that are focused on trailers, Mammoth Audio's Density or Pulsator Sounds, is it called Rage? I can't remember. And all those, I always forget the name of this company. Something Tree. Woods? Tree? Leaf? No, anyway. That's basically just tons of trailer hits and things. Listen to their hits. Their hits are so broad. It's like a and a ch all at once. And that's really important. But you don't want to chuck that in right at the start. You want to make it sound like there's a distant explosion at the start. Oh, hello, what's going on? You don't have to start with that, but in Act 1, you don't reveal your cards straight away. And this is the same musically as well. You might have the same thematic material in Act 1, but you're not going to have the whole orchestra playing. And it's the same with your hits. You just have the sub with maybe a particularly boomy taiko, or a particularly boomy, thuddy kick. And then as Act 2 comes in, then you can bring in some swishes to those big hits. And then when Act 3 comes in, you bring it all in, smash, boom, crash. But you have to use the word build in your impact. If that makes sense. Don't just drag and drop the same sample from start to finish every 8 bars. And this applies very much so to signature sounds as well. Same theories. Don't just sort of drop them in and don't treat them as just a quick finish. You need to think about them musically as well. But this is for me, like I said, I forget about this. So, one way, and I teach this in one of my courses too, the hybrid trailer music course, one way you can sketch out your trailer cue is using hits. Work with the big hits and impacts first, because then it gives you a sense of development of how the cue is going to shape up, and then you've got it. It's there right in front of you. It's as simple as that, but it gets you thinking about that polish first. This is for me too, because I sometimes forget it when I'm submitting demos. I go, oh, I forgot to put the big impacts in, because I was so focused on my terrible cello playing or really over-quantized piano playing. So yeah, have a think about it. Think about the purpose of the big hits you're putting in, and you still use it. You listen to those sort of HBO dramas where it's a solo violin. There's still big impacts in there. They're cinematic impacts because they give something of the cinematic to your music. Cinematic's a great word for it because it implies all of the things I'm talking about: weight, scale, enormity, hugeness. But yeah, don't ignore that and think about it, because we do need to use them, sometimes more sparingly than others. If we're talking about sound design, it's pretty much just how many of these can I squish in this very short space of time. And that's probably why I like sound design, because it's just a lot of fun making a horrendous amount of noise. But yeah, have a think about it, guys. Think about the way you use your impacts, why you're using them, and what are they serving musically. Thanks for taking the time to listen, guys. You're absolute legends. I am so grateful for you taking the time. And don't forget to pop on over to wherever it is you're listening, and just leave a little review. It helps me tremendously, and I hope this helped you too. Take care, guys. See you next time.